Okay, let's see the word meanings of this chapter. Abacus. Abacus is a frame with rows of wires or grooves along with beads are slit used for calculating. Abacus, we know that it is an instrument having the wires and the beads on it, and it is used for calculations. Console means a panel or unit with a set of controls. Foreman, a male worker who supervises others. Malfunction, it means failure to operate normally. Papyrus is a thick paper made from plant stems. Weed is suggesting something very strange. Now, dear children, let us start the chapter. So, both the stories will go simultaneously. Clear? So, do not get confused by the style of the letters you will recognize. Now, the story of Philip starts. Philip gazed at the abacus. The lines of green beads danced before his eyes. There was a bit of shade from the fig tree, but even so, sweat trickled down his brow. His heart was hammering. Now, where the Philip is sitting, he got the little shade of the fig tree. Fig is a tree, anjeer ka ped. Clear? And he gazed at the abacus. Gazed means staring at something, looking something continuously. He looked at the abacus. The lines of green beads danced before his eyes. There were the green beads on this abacus. And though he was sitting under the shade, still the sweat trickled down his brows. Trickled means move in drops. Though he was sitting under the shade, still he was sweating. His heart was hammering. Why we get sweating? Why our heart hammers or our heart rate increases? Because when we feel little nervousness. The same way Philip also felt nervous. Calm down, he told himself fiercely. He told himself to calm down, to relax. Fiercely means in a powerful manner. He was firm. He consoled himself. He said to calm down. You've used an abacus before. You've is the short form of you have. He told himself that you have used an abacus before. He looked again at the battered old calculator on the table. Battered means little damaged. Okay, old calculator. Battered old calculator means abacus. Okay, he looked again at the abacus which was kept on the table. What was it? Cleon had always told his pupils. Cleon is Philip's teacher. Okay, and he remembered what his teacher told his students. Yes, that was it. The abacus can never lie. What his teacher taught? That abacus can never lie. All the calculations which we do on the abacus give the right answer. Now the story of Lalda begins. Lalda sat at the console of CMF-22, probably the most powerful and reliable computer in the known universe. Where was Lalda? Lalda was in the spacecraft. Which spacecraft? CMF-22. And probably it was very powerful and reliable. It was very good computer in the known universe. Console means a unit with a set of controls. Okay. It was soothing to see the lines of green lights across the top of the instrument panel. When she saw on the instrument panel, all the lights were green And when the lights are green, we know that there is no danger. Everything is functioning in a proper way. That meant all functions were in working order. The ship was on course. The ship was on course. The ship was moving. Moving a hand to the gleaming instrument panel, she pressed for auto check vocal mode. She just moved her pan on a gleaming. Gleaming means ray of light. Okay, she moved her hand on the instrument panel and then she pressed the button for auto check vocal mode. She pressed the button for auto check. Auto check means the automatic checks done by the computer. Autopilot check, the tiny voice rang out through the cabin. In the cabin, the tiny voice, the small voice rang out. Autopilot check. It means the function was started. Navigation drive check, scanning system check. All the functions were being checked by the autopilot. Navigation is the process or activity of accurately finding one's position and following or planning a route. Planning or following a route. That is called navigation. Lalda breathed out a sigh. She took a deep breath. Even though Brielle had died and she was now on her own, it was going to be all right. Lalda was all alone in the ship, in the aircraft. Okay, so Brielle was her partner who died 28 days earlier, and now Lalda was left all alone, and she was confident that everything will go in a proper way. Okay, now the second part of Philip's story comes. Philip shifted on the stool and looked towards the side. A gang of slaves was hard at work digging the foundation. And he shifted on the stool and he looked towards the site. Site means it was a construction site. The construction of a temple was going on here, and the gang of slaves were working there, and what they were doing? They were digging the foundations. Suddenly, he saw the foreman coming back. He saw the foreman. Foreman means the supervisor coming back. And with him was Simon, the architect. He was Simon and the foreman, they both were coming. Architect means a person who plans or designs the buildings. The two men were talking earnestly as they walked, and once or twice Simon stopped and consulted a scroll he was carrying. Both of them, the foreman and the architect Simon, were talking to each other, and while talking to each other, he just he stopped and he consulted a scroll which he was having in his hand. Scroll, you can see here in the picture also it is given. Simon is having a scroll on which the map of the building is made. Philip leapt to his feet, but the architect and foreman took no notice of him. When Philip saw both of them, he just jumped and stood up. But both of them, the foreman and the Simon, did not pay any attention on the boy, on Philip, because they were busy with their own talk. They gazed towards the site and carried on their conversation. They just gazed, they just stared at the site. They looked at the site and they just continued their conversation. "Oh, it will be superb," Simon burst out suddenly. "We really are building a temple worthy of Apollo." Then Simon was satisfied with his work and he was quite happy, and he said that really it will be a wonderful building for to worship Lord Apollo. Apollo is the name of a god. May he shine forever, murmured the foreman dutifully. Foreman also said, may he shine forever. Lord Apollo may shine forever. They stood for a while in silence. Then Simon went on in a thoughtful tone. You know, there's a man in Athens who says the sun is a mass of flaming material and the moon's light is just a reflection of the sun. Both of them were quiet for some time, and then suddenly Simon remembered something and he said that there is a man in Athens who said that sun is a mass of flaming material and the moon's light is just the reflection of the sun, and that is the truth. Moon's light is the reflection of the sun. The foreman shook his head at the very thought of such weird ideas. Foreman was not aware about all this, so he just shook his head. It was very strange for him to listen like this. Now come on Lalda's story. The tear ran down Lalda's face. It was 28 days now since Brielle had died, and she seemed to miss her more every day. Brielle, her partner, died 28 days before, and now Lalda was all alone. So she was upset. Okay. And Lalda was missing her every day. Okay. She had been a bit bossy, a bit know-it-all, not the sort of person you would have chosen to train you on your first long haul flight, but she was someone. Now, Lalda told about Brielle that she was a bit bossy. Bossy means she was considering herself a superior, and though she was little strict, but still Lalda was someone, means she was having the great abilities. Lalda missed the sound of the human voice. Now she was all alone in the spacecraft, so she was missing the human voice. Wearily, Lalda pulled out the bunk in the side of the control room and started climbing onto it, and suddenly stopped. Wearily means tiredly. She was very tired now. She pulled out the bunk. Bunk is a narrow bed in the side of the control room. The narrow bed, she just pulled it out and started climbing onto it, and suddenly she stopped. The checks. She must do the checks. She groaned. She just murmured that she must check. Straight, she should not go to the bed. She must check all the functions, whether the ship, the spacecraft is in the correct direction. There was no point in doing the checks. The CMF-22 was on autopilot, so she didn't have to do the checks. Though it was CMF-22, very powerful and reliable computer, she need not to check anything because it was already on the autopilot. And but still she got the idea to check. Okay, Brielle would have been horrified, but she wasn't here, was she? On this thought, whether that it is already on autopilot, so need not to check. On this thought, Brielle would have been horrified. Brielle would have been shocked on this thought, but Lalda was satisfied that she is not here with her. For a few seconds, Lalda stayed where she was, motionless, and then her 7 years of training at Space College won out. For few moments, she stood there motionless. The thought came into her mind that she must check, but again she thought that it is already on the autopilot, so need not to check. But she had 7 years training. So the training at Space College won out. What she did? She got down off the bunk again and turned on the scanner screens one by one. She just got down from the bunk bed and went for the checks. She just turned on the scanner screens. There were 6 curved screens relating to 6 scanners round the ship. There were 6 curved screens in the ship, and these screens were relating to the 6 scanners round the ship. Round the ship, all these 6 scanners were fixed up. Stars started black, but the 5th scanner had a glow at the edge. All the scanners were giving no light. Only the one scanner, the 5th scanner, had a glow at the edge. It was shining. The sun. Lalda stared at the star for a few seconds. Rest all the stars were black, but on the 5th scanner she could see the glow, and that was the sun. Then she reached over to the far right of the console and took a reading of the ship's surrounding temperature. She went to the console and then she took the temperature of the surrounding of the ship. And what was the temperature? 2.61. Got it? She climbed onto the her bunk and tried to sleep. Now she just went to the bunk again and she tried to sleep. I hope you understood this much. Dear children, the next chapter, the remaining chapter will continue in the next class, and for today's work you have to read this chapter thoroughly and learn the word meanings. Thank you.